Hi there. Thank you for joining me today. My name is Joy Koff, and I am the owner of Miracles of Joy Metaphysical Store. And our store is located in Louisville, Texas. Today, I was able to have a conversation with a friend of mine and someone who actually works out of Miracles of Joy by the name of Kay Horn. So let me tell you a little bit about Kay. Kay is a spiritual, intuitive painter. She does spiritual artwork. She also does mentorship as well. Kay actually does what she calls soul portraits, where she will paint a picture based on colors that you pick, and it is your soul portrait, and she gives you channeled messages around that. She's also a spiritual life coach. So earlier today, Kay and I held a conversation that we're calling Metaphysical Chat. So it's talking about what, talks and touches base on a lot of metaphysical topics. So I wanted to share a little bit of that conversation with you. So here's a snippet. So please stay tuned for the conversation that Kay and I had earlier today. Thank you very much.
Anyone's energies. So I say this whole set, and it helps my life to go smoothly and well. And then I say other intentions also, especially if I leave the house. I say, dear universe, please protect my house and my dog, and help me to get every place I'm going without any scares, accidents, or tickets. And when I don't say that, I tend to get tickets. And the last one I got was in a school zone, and that one hurt me real bad. This is how I live my life, through intentions and prayers and information from my guides. And that's just how I live my life now. And I have a wonderful, beautiful, magical life. So much so, I don't even tell people how wonderful my life is, because, they don't want to hear how good things are. I don't have a lot of drama. I have good stuff all the time. Works for me.
So if anyone has any questions, you can go ahead and ask them now if you'd like. Okay, so we'll just
moving on.
moving on.
Moving on. What's our next topic?
We were going to talk a little bit about past lives.
Oh, yes. So what I've discovered about past lives is we've lived, I don't know, maybe thousands of lives. However, there are a particular set that have bearing on our life today, whatever life, I have a set that's particular to mine. One of them in particular affected me a lot when I started doing this, and I was stoned to death. I was a follower of Jesus, not one of the 12, but I was a follower, one of the thousands. And I traveled to different cities at that time after his death, telling women, I was a woman, telling women about the God power within them and all things, and that they're powerful souls having a human experience. And one afternoon, their husbands gathered around me as we came back from the watering hole, we did washing or whatever, and I was stoned to death. So for me, putting myself out there like I am now in the mass consciousness, it was a big fear that I had. And that's unfounded in this lifetime. I've never had anything that happened like that, but that's a past life that directly affected my life now. So I had to work through those fears. And shoot, I've been doing this, Joy, 8 years painting, and I'm just now putting my face out there to the masses. I'll talk to you all day long, onesie, twosies, three, but mass consciousness is something, the fear of that is something that I've had to work through and to get over. So that's a past life that it directly relates to my life now. Everyone has it. Everyone has something, some little quirk, some little something that they don't understand why they're like that. Generally, that's attributed to a past life experience.
Mine was pretty similar. It was about talking about this in a public forum and things of that nature. It's like I would push through it at times, and talk to people because I'm very guided, or I would be pushed to be able to say something. But I agree. It's like when I look at the past lives associated with it, people who are actually walking this path at this particular time are walking it because they've walked it in the past. And
absolutely.
And in previous lives, it's like you would be stoned to death, or you would be hung, or you would be burned as a witch, or things of that nature. So I have remembered past lives. Like I could at one point couldn't stand to have anything around my throat.
Me neither.
You,
I can't.
you know, it was
Turtlenecks,
like
no.
it
No
was like
turtlenecks for me.
it was like
No.
it was like I could not have anything around my throat, and it would just, it was something that was just like I couldn't figure out where that came from. And when I've
Right.
actually have done some past life regressions and things of that nature, I realize it's because I was hung before,
Oh,
and it
yeah.
wasn't like once, it was like it had happened like 2 or
Yeah.
3 times. And it's clearing that energy from past lives to be able to
Absolutely.
get past some of that stuff. I'm going to talk a little bit also about soulmates, because I think people have a misconception
A
of
romantic idea about them.
right.
Uh-huh.
And I will tell people the worst relationship you ever had was a soulmate. The best relationship you ever had was a soulmate. They were both soulmates because, one, when we go through adversity and we overcome the others, we come out of the other side of that adversity, what ends up happening is that is a growth for your soul.
Right.
That is a
Right.
growth for you. That is teaching you how to step into your own power.
Right.
So those are soulmates that have really pushed you forward
They
in
are.
this particular life.
What my guys have told me is that we all have 200 or 300 in our soul groups. We don't incarnate with all of them each lifetime. However, we all take turns being whatever and whomever and however to each other. So most of your friends, absolutely your family, your loved ones are soulmates in some way or another. And the ones that push your buttons, those are the ones that are really there to help you grow as a soul. Now, I've also learned as a soul that a soul wants to have every kind of experience. So if you're an axe murderer, so be it. So souls want to have every kind of experience, but humans not so much. And we have choices as souls. So that doesn't mean that we're a slave to our soul. It just means it gives us the opportunity to make these choices every day, all day long. And so when you come across somebody that pushes your buttons and you find out something that you don't like, that you don't want to do again, it gives you an opportunity to recalibrate, to redirect your thoughts and your ideas and to focus on what you do want. Because, and actually knowing what you don't want, it provides the opportunity to figure out what you want. So they're just providing you really growth opportunities.
And I also, it's like every person has been good, bad, and ugly. Does that make sense?
Exactly, yes.
It's like even our past lives. I mean, part of the growth, if you want to look at the evolution, if humanity is evolving and the evolution of the soul, what ends up happening is you had to experience the bad in order to appreciate the good. You had to experience the good in order to appreciate, what the bad has been. And is the bad really bad? Think about some of the experiences that you've had in your everyday life. Even at those worst times, when you overcome that, you grow so much as a person. You become a better person because of it. You expand, you move forward.
Right. My husband's passing was devastating for me, but it provided me the opportunity to regroup. And I had a choice. I either regroup and I moved forward, or I stayed in that grief. And, we always have a choice. But souls, they want every kind of experience. And we've had most of those, especially when we're at a time in human evolution that we're at today. This is an opportunity worldwide. Humanity has been provided the opportunity to become more aware of everything, their connection to everyone and everything. We're all a part of this. And so there is no separation. So it's a beautiful growth opportunity. What that means is we've all experienced all kinds of different past lives just to get to this point in our evolution and to be here on the planet today.
And it's also an opportunity for us to become a little bit more self-aware of ourselves. And if there's something that shows up in our life and we don't like it, if it's a repeat pattern, you have to go within and find out, why are you creating that in your own life?
Right.
What is it that you're meant to learn from this experience? And that's when your connection with your guides and your angels steps in at that particular time. If I've had a situation where I'm the common denominator in all 3 of these situations, I would go, okay, What is it that I need to learn from this experience? Why is this showing up for me again? What is it
Right.
that I need to take charge of? So I look at it as, okay, this is showing up in my life for a particular reason. Why?
Mm-hmm.
And I
Right.
learn from it and I grow from it. I will get that information from my guides. And
Right.
then, since we're talking about being awake and how to, okay, now you're awake, and how do you live with that? There's
Right.
one important lesson that I feel, or there's one important message that I want to make sure everyone gets, and that is, remember, we're on a spiral. We're on a spiral of evolution. So
Right.
in growing, we feel that we've dealt with something, we've accepted it, we've moved past it, and all of a sudden it's like a year later it shows right back up in our face. And what
Yeah.
I've noticed is people who are awake is saying, okay, why is this happening? What am I doing wrong? Why is this showing up? And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes it's just a reminder. And what I mean by a reminder, where are you on that spiral? How are you handling this differently than you did in the past? How much have you
Right.
grown? So sometimes it's just a reflection to show you, look at how much you've grown.
Well, that's really true. Yeah. And when you're aware, you recognize that instance. It's like, oh yeah, that's what I'm doing. So you if you're aware, then you understand those things sooner, instead of becoming a victim of just whatever happens to be thrown at you. And we are sometimes that too, but at least we can make decisions quicker and be aware that we can ask for assistance, that sort of thing. So that's what being aware really means. And to understand that you have a whole total body mind connection. It's not just your body, it's a whole body, mind, and soul connection. So that's what we're here to do, is understand that connection and to utilize the knowledge of that connection to move forward with confidence and awareness and purpose and intent, instead of just being out there trying to get or be with whoever you can or to do whatever you can. At least you can do that with some intent and some purpose. So it makes more sense.
And then what I try to tell people is, one thing to look at is, if sometimes it may just be showing up so you can release, we've gotten it up here.
Yes,
We've gotten
absolutely.
it all up
Yeah.
here. We've
Mhm.
figured it all up here. We've gotten it in our third eye. We understand it
Yes.
from a spiritual perspective, but we haven't let it go out of our heart. So
Oh, yeah.
sometimes it shows back up for us to release that emotion, for us to actually let that go for one final
Right.
moment.
I in my own instance, I try to let go of all my limitations, my fears, my boundaries, and then I get tested. So I fly fish. I call for fly fishing. I throw it out there. I'm done with you. I throw it out there, and then I slowly reel it back, and I go, oh, geez, I thought I got rid of you, and so I have to do it several times. Sometimes one time is not enough. You just got to keep like shaking it off and letting it go until your conscious self really realizes that that's gone and you don't need it any longer.
And it's also like peeling an onion.
Yeah, yes.
It really is. We're onions. I always say that. I said,
We're an
we're
onion.
onions. We're peeling one layer at a time until it's all gone.
Yeah, really. So it's exciting to be alive and to realize that you have these opportunities, instead of just being born and just trying to survive. You learn that you really do have your own guidance system. And I tell people, I said, you've brought everything that you need with you. Just because you don't understand that you brought that luggage with you doesn't mean it's not there. You
Right.
still have brought it with you. It might be invisible until you reach out and you recognize it, and then you go, oh look, yeah, I thought I forgot that, but no, I brought it with me. So you just have to, test the waters and see what works. But it's always good to move in the direction, I think, of that you feel is that you feel guided to, that you feel strongly drawn to. That's a good place to start.
And that guidance is there for a reason.
Definitely. Yeah. So, and that we are powerful. We've been taught all our lives that we're not powerful. People always want to, it begins with our parents, and they have to keep us out of the street because that's their job. You don't want your little kids playing in the street, so you scare them to death, and so they come out. But when you can make your own choices, you don't have to be afraid. And when you understand your power and you learn how to use that power, that's why affirmations are good, because it helps you remember that you have that power. And if you're in some sort of negative thought tornado going on, well, I can get in those myself. I can use that affirmation when I remember to use it to get out of that, to move forward in a different way. So just the awareness comes with being aware that you have these opportunities, that you have this power, that you can use these tools, and to create a really beautiful life for yourself.
I think one of the most important things that someone can possibly imagine is, don't, whatever you do, please don't beat yourself up if you remember something and then you forgot in that moment and your ego is kind of running amok.
Exactly.
I've had people tell me, how do I control my ego? And I'm like, good luck with that.
People talk about letting go of their ego. It's like, okay, well, what is the ego? That's where our fears are. That's where our limitations and our boundaries is. And for me, I don't think you need, it's be like cutting off your hand. It's a part of what you are. So it's just learning to identify and go, oh yeah, that's what that is. That's just my ego. That's a fear that's not founded. That's a fear that I brought with me somehow. And all I need to know is that's a fear. So that means I have the power. So I shine my power, my light brighter to let go of that fear. So it's not letting go of your ego. It's learning to identify what's going on so that you can use the knowledge that you have as a tool to eradicate whatever that problem is. Easier.
And one of the tools that I share with people all the time about their ego is sometimes listen to it. If you feel like, you're stuck and you can't move forward, it's okay to talk to your ego and say, I hear you. I understand that you're trying to protect me, but I have this. It's okay for us to move forward. And what you will notice is those hooks start unhooking.
They do, yeah. It's like, okay, it's like I can relax my grip on you now so I can let it go. And it's like a parent letting go of a child's hand. The first day they go off to school, it's like parents were really afraid to do that. And the little kid might be too, but in the end, it's for everyone's best interest.
So, and that's where your power comes from as well. And that's discovering your power. What you're going to notice is there's time periods I have noticed in this path. And I think when you decide to step into this spiritual path and you decide to walk it, that you have already told spirit, hey, I'm ready to walk this path. So spirit is going to bring everything that you need to clear.
Yes.
That's part of the growth process. It's having that come forward of the stuff that you actually need to clear. The other thing is, people have talked about the dark night of the soul, and those experiences. What is the dark night of the soul? I call it a label that we put on something. When I know that I'm getting ready to let a lot of stuff go and step even further on my spiritual path, what ends up happening is this fear becomes overwhelming.
Yes, you're right. It does. Yeah.
And it's like you got this fear and it's overwhelming and you want to cry and you don't understand. And why am I feeling this way? And why am I going through all these emotions? When I get in that space, I notice just, let the tears flow in that moment.
Yes, just go with it.
That's your way of releasing that energy. And then what I notice is I take this huge leap forward after that. So there's labels out there called the dark night of the soul. It's also expansion, growth, and taking those steps forward.
And birth pains too, so we're birthing a new consciousness now. That's why it's difficult for us in this time. To move forward and to understand that, it's kind of like a new world order. We're doing things differently. We're doing more things online. We're using the technology that we have. We're using the tools that we have that we didn't use as much before. So it's a big shift for everyone, everywhere. And it's just learning to think outside the box and to start thinking more, actually, because a lot of times, they say we only use like 10% of our brain. It's like, ooh, this is our opportunity to use another 10%, and then hopefully later more and more and more until you get used to using the tools that you have at your fingertips that you forgot that you have.
So before we move forward, does anyone have any questions?
I don't have a question, but I came across this philosopher who said that we are balls of energy with the tools of a body and a mind.
Yes,
So it's kind
absolutely.
of like you being a transformer in a way.
Yes, we're very powerful souls having a human experience. We're not a human having a soulful experience. We're very powerful souls, very powerful balls of energy focusing through a form. And fortunately, our physiology allows us to have a myriad of emotions, of experiences that we wouldn't have had in formless expression. Because I think a lot of people, they go, oh gosh, if I'm a powerful soul, then what am I doing here in this body on earth? It's like to have these experiences.
Does anyone else have any questions?
I can hear her ass.
Hello? All right.
Or does anyone have anything else that they would like to share before we wrap up?
Guess not.
Okay. So with that being said, I'm just gonna go ahead and wrap up. Now, again, I want to talk. I'm gonna let you finish up for some of those that may have just tuned in. Okay, you're going to be teaching. You're going to actually be holding a channeling session
Yes.
at Miracles of Joy on May 14th. We're actually doing it not at Miracles of Joy. It's going to be online. May 14th, but they could find out at miraclesofjoy.org.
Right.
And today my guest has been Kay Horn, who is an intuitive artist who paints portraits of your soul. And you're going to be channeling Archangel Uriel, but it's actually the Brotherhood of Light, and it's a group consciousness, correct?
Right, it is the Brotherhood of Light, and they're of the tribe Uriel. There's different tribes, like actually our angels are tribes of energy. So Michael is the protector of Earth and humanity. Uriel is an educator. Raphael, Gabriel, all those. They're kind of like departments or divisions. And so some of us have a combination of all these energies. So whenever Brotherhood of Light and me, our energy is mainly focused through the Uriel energy.
So I want to thank all of you who have joined us today. I tried to make this go live on Facebook. I'm not sure if that took or not. It's a new experience learning how to put this on Facebook, and I haven't had Zoom really work very well of going live on Facebook yet. So thank everyone for joining us, we will be doing this again in the future. Give us some feedback. Let us know if you enjoyed this. Go out to the page, Miracles of Joy Metaphysical Group. Join us. Let me know what you thought about this, and if you want us to do this more often in the future, we'd love to be able to do this.
Yes.
So thanks, everyone. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you, guys.